All right, so let's go ahead and do frequencies now in Excel. So of course, frequencies are a little bit easier to run in SPSS, but we're going to learn how to do them in Excel as well, because sometimes it might just be a lot quicker, or you may not have access to SPSS right away. It's always good to have this tool in your toolbox. So here is just a simple Microsoft Excel page. In the first column A, I've just added my names of my countries. Again, this is the same data set that we're using from our chapter 2 lesson, frequency distributions. The data set for this full list of countries and volcanoes can be found in your textbook if you choose to look at it. I've also added the data into the SPSS PDF that you can find in Canvas as well, so that you can practice using some other countries and other numbers. So I'm only going to do countries again from Antarctica to Costa Rica as we did in class. So my first column is just the country name. My second column is my number of volcanoes. For C, I have X, like we did for frequency tables in class. For D, I have F, so the frequency as we did in class, and then E, I have percentage. So again, the third column as we saw and we completed in class. For your first row, I just added this as your header, and so you're not doing any analysis on that. It's just going to be a header telling you what each row is going to be representing. So I have this listed in no particular order other than alphabetical order from Antarctica all the way to Costa Rica, and then I have my number of volcanoes here. So as we learned in our slides, the first step of doing our frequency table is to be able to list all our X's from the highest number in our data set all the way to the lowest number. So in this case, when I'm looking at all these numbers over here, the highest number that I spot is a 10. So I'm going to start from 10 all the way until 0, and again, even if you don't see the number included in this data set, you want to include it anyways, because that's also meaningful data. If a number is not included here, you can always say the percentage of that number is actually 0%, and it shows up 0 times in that particular data set. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and make sure you always put 0. Now for column D, you want to be able to put in how many times each of those numbers appeared in your full data set. So 10 appeared once, 9 appeared 0, and just make sure that you are counting through. 4 appeared twice. Okay, so now you have that. In this box over here, your next step is to be able to find the sum of your frequency so that you can find the percentages for each number. So to do sum of these numbers, you're going to type in equals SUM, open parentheses, and then click and drag from your 1 all the way up until your 0. This is going to select all these cells together, and then do close parentheses and then hit enter. You should have a sum of 14 for your entire data set right now. Could you do this on your calculator and then could you put your number in? Of course, but I'm going to show you guys how to go ahead and put it into your percentages and how to do your different formulas based on doing this sum formula. Your sum formula is also really important because in other types of data sets that we're going to work on throughout this entire semester, we're going to be using the sum formula, so it's best for you guys to get to know it right now. Okay, so moving on to the percentage column. Now what we're going to do is, remember we had the frequency divided by the sum of the frequency times 100 is how we solved for the percent within our data slides during class. So you're going to do the same thing here using Excel formulas. So do equals, open parentheses, you're going to click F, your first F, which is 1, then your backslash, then you're going to click on 14, close parentheses, the asterisk or the little star, which is your times function, and then 100. You're going to hit enter. And so your percent for 1 would be 7.142%. And then you're going to just go ahead and do that for each and every one of your problems here. you can absolutely follow along as I'm doing this. Take pauses as you need it, etc. Okay, so now you have your percentages here. A quick trick is there's a lot of decimals happening here. If you want some really nice looking whole numbers, just go ahead and click and drag to select all of these cells. If you look in the top bars of your Excel, you'll see like clipboard, fonts, alignment, number, style, cells, and editing. Under the number portion, you're going to see these two like 0.0 decimals with a left and right arrow. If you click the left arrow one, it'll actually add more decimal points. So, okay, just expand it a little bit, so it'll actually add a lot more decimal points. If you click the one with the right arrow, it'll actually decrease the decimal points. So if you just keep clicking it, it'll eventually give you a really nice, well-rounded whole number. And so this, as you can see, is very similar to the output that we got in the SPSS frequency output as well. So 1, for example, every time the number 1 shows up across our data set is how many is that each country had only one volcano. We found that this happened 6 times actually. So 6 countries actually had only one volcano. This means that 43% of the time across this specific data set, every country only had one volcano. So that's the assumption or pattern of behavior that we can be making with this frequency test. Okay, so that's how you run a quick frequency test and analysis on Excel.